So how is S&P's warning being viewed internationally, and what could that mean for U.S. companies doing business abroad or companies abroad doing business here in the U.S.? Joining us now to talk about that is Chuck Jeannes. He is the CEO of Goldcorp, a Canadian company based in Vancouver. The $42 billion company is the world's second largest producer of gold. Welcome back to Street Smart, Chuck. Appreciate you taking some time out for us today. Let me ask you, first of all, your immediate thoughts on this news today, because it wasn't, as a lot of people have been saying, totally unexpected as far as we can all see what's going on with the debt here in the U.S., but the timing was interesting.
Well, I guess I would repeat what I heard one of your earlier guests say, that it shouldn't have been much of a surprise. There is no surprise in the fact that there is an issue with respect to the debt levels in the U.S. and the continued deficit spending. And the question as to how that's going to be dealt with is certainly something that is getting a lot of headlines these days. So I'm not sure why, if it was, this announcement today would have been much of a surprise.
You know, Chuck, as you watch the wranglings going on here among our politicians in D.C., I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think it's just crazy that there's a problem, we've got a huge deficit, it's got to be dealt with, and that they can't seem to make it happen? I mean, I'm curious what you think.
Well, it's an interesting process, and I got to say, I'm an American, and I grew up in the U.S., so I've watched that process my whole life. But as a Canadian company watching this, it's interesting to contrast the differences between the way the Canadian government and the U.S. government deal with these issues. But you know, politics is politics, and they'll make their way through, I hope, to some improvements in the way that the deficit spending is going forward. You know, from our standpoint, we tend to look at what it means to us as a company, and we don't have a lot of operations in the U.S. Less than 10% of our production is in the U.S. We're the largest producer in Canada, in Mexico, and very international. And so what we look at is the cost side of our business, because we produce gold and sell it in U.S. dollars. We report our financials in U.S. dollars, but a lot of our costs are in foreign currencies: Canadian dollars, Mexican pesos, Chilean pesos, etc. So to the extent that this news means a continued long-term weakening of the U.S. dollar and strengthening of those other currencies, that does impact our cost structure negatively.
Let me ask you, Chuck, because what we really want to get at is what chief executives are thinking of these issues. And obviously, for you, the gold price is a focus. It's very interesting, especially today when we're looking at another record. But when you are at conventions, when you're meeting with other companies, when you're flying somewhere on business, talking to other CEOs, I mean, how acutely aware are CEOs of what's going on as far as the U.S. debt scenario, and how important is it?
Well, of course it's important. I mean, the U.S. economy is still by far the largest in the world, and what happens there has impacts everywhere in the world. But I think you also have to remember that it is a worldwide economy. And in fact, the move in the gold price today, I would speculate, had more to do with the announcement by the Chinese government of the increase in the reserve interest rate there than it did the S&P announcement, because we saw the dollar actually strengthened on this news and Treasuries strengthened. It was only in the equity market that there seemed to be much of a surprise. And so I hope and I don't mean to be dodging your question, but the direct impact certainly on my business and those of my peers in the gold business is the impact on the gold price of the activities of governments around the world, including the U.S., but certainly not exclusively.
And actually, Chuck, what's interesting is you really reiterated a point of view that we got from an earlier guest, saying that China was much more important in terms of what we saw in the market activity versus the S&P news. So interesting to hear that from you as well. Chuck, we do have to say goodbye, but thank you so much again for finding time for Matt and me. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure talking to you.